We're all here? Lunch on the 17th. This is what was on the menu. The same way that we figured out what the risk factors were for the meals and narrowed it down to a particular meal, we can do the risk factors for the foods and narrow it down, we hope, to a particular food. By seeing what the risk was for the people that ate the food and compare it to the risk for people that skipped that food. So if you look at the pages after this, the pages that follow this page, there's our survey results. Every menu item, plus for they ate it, minus for they didn't eat it. Now, we had the numbers given to us on the meals, but we're gonna fill the numbers in ourselves. We've got a column for people that were sick. Look at your 3 pages of data. Where are the people that are sick?
All the way to the left.
Hmm?
To the left-hand side, please. Or to the top. I don't know. It's like,
Where are they? They're all on the first page. So, any number that's in here, ill, has got to come off the first page because that's where those people are. Anything that's not ill has got to come off of the other 2 pages, right? We're going to fill this half in, which means everybody that I point to is going to be counting pluses. That's all you're counting right now. But you're going to count pluses for the first page and give me that number. Count pluses for the second and third pages together and give me that number. And at some point, I'm going to come back to you and you're going to give me the attack rate. So, tuna sandwich, casserole, mac salad, coleslaw, soup, lettuce, coffee and tea, water and ice, mayonnaise.
Is it for all the pages? No, just one. Is it for all the pages or just the?
Well, you're going to give me 2 numbers. You're going to give me the first page number and the second, third page number. When you get numbers, yell them up to me.
6 for coleslaw, first page.
For 13 for lettuce on the first page. 297 on the page.
I got 26 for the, casserole. On the
3
first page.
for mac salad on the first page.
I got 4 for soup on the first page.
2 for mac salad on the second.
No,
We're totaling second and third.
second and third together.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got 4 for the second and the third.
5.
At some point, you're going to give me the attack rate.
I have 18 for the second and third. I got 9 for the first page for the water and ice. And then I add the second and third together, 10.
I'm lost. I added,
I got a whopping 87%.
we added the second with the first, right?
Yeah,
And then what are we doing next?
give me that number.
That was 5.
Hmm?
First one was 3, the second was 2. You said add together?
No, second and third page together, not the first page.
Oh, sorry.
Second and third.
For the second and third, I got 19.
For which food?
Lettuce.
When you're ready, I got mine for the second and third. Second and third coleslaw, 13.
Mac salad was
15?
13.
13.
Soup was 18.
Okay, yeah.
What? Oh, you got it. And the coffee and tea was 10 for the first page.
There is something.
And then second page is 22. First page mayonnaise 8. Second and third 10.
Okay, now I didn't have anybody doing the Italian dressing in the milk, but I need people to do those numbers. And I need people to give me the attack rates for their foods. Remember, you divide the little number by the big number. The big number is the total that I filled in.
So we're only counting the pluses? When I
Right
counted
now?
the pluses for the first and second page, you wrote 19, I'm not ill.
Yeah, because that's what the second and third page is. That's where our not ill people
Oh,
are.
duh, never mind.
I got a 7 for the Italian dressing on the first page.
Okay,
So are we doing, our total, or we're doing our first page over our total, right? Our attack rate?
yes.
And then 9 on the second page.
You have 28.
For the tuna sandwich?
Yeah, it's like 1.2.
Yeah, we'll round off.
I have my attack rate when you're ready.
Go.
32%.
I got 44% for Italian dressing.
For, what did you say?
Italian dressing?
Oh, I said 44.
Oh, 44?
It's okay.
Looking for more numbers.
I have 44 for the mayonnaise too.
Okay.
So attack rate is smaller by the total?
Ill, so first page over total. You don't have milk.
I got 23 for milk.
I need to.
41% for lettuce.
You know this is an old case, because the only thing they gave him to drink was water and milk, and most of the people took the milk. Probably little half pints.
Water and ice, 47.
Say again?
Water and ice, 47.
It's 38 for milk.
Okay, we got a few attack rates still yet to fill in.
Yeah, the coffee and tea is 31.
So 3 out of 16?
47 for water and ice.
Yeah, got that.
Oh,
Looking for soup,
Mac salad.
and milk.
milk is 38%.
Okay.
Mac salad is 19.
19?
Yeah.
And soup?
18.
Okay. So before we fill the rest in, does anything jump out at you?
That egg noodle casserole.
That egg noodle casserole looks like a killer.
Oh, no.
That does not look good. Now, there are two ways to fill out the rest of the table, and you are gonna fill the rest of it out. There is the slow but easy to understand way, and the fast, hard to understand way. Which way am I gonna have you do it right now? You already know me too well. How many ill people do we have on our survey?
All together, or?
Yeah.
Um,
Shouldn't we have,
Oh, wait.
Probably need to be looking at the surveys.
Yeah, 106.
I said 116. Yeah, I got 116.
We only got 31 ill people. How can we have 106 in the survey?
I have no clue, man. It's not 32, 31 minutes. Oh, it's about what they ate. So they ate.
Yeah, that isn't gonna do it.
Yeah.
That's why I said you gotta be looking at the surveys. How many ill people do we have?
They're top 31.
No. 'cause
Well, I
we
got a
said-
vote for 30 and a vote for 31, which is
Isn't
it?
it 31, 37?
Which
Do
is
you want us
it?
to take out the outliers or no?
How many people are on that first page?
31, 31.
No, not 31.
There's 30.
30.
That's 5, 10, 15, 20.
Hey, somebody who can still count by fives. You know how rare that is now? The first page has 30 people on it, which if you remember, we had one of our sick people who didn't eat lunch that day. So at least everybody else sent us back their survey. So here's the fast and tricky way. If 7 of them had the tuna sandwich of the 30 people, how many didn't?
23.
This number and that number have got to add up to the 30 people we've got, right? So we'll take the numbers that are somewhat high. If 26 of the ill people, of the 30 ill people had the casserole, how many didn't?
4.
4. Let's see, we got some stuff in the high 40s. If 9 of them had the water and ice, how many of them didn't? 21, right? If 8 of them had the mayo, how many didn't? So those two numbers should always add up to 30. Now, my next question, how many not sick people do we have on the survey? How many people are on the second and third pages?
55?
I gotta vote for 55? No, we're not using the first page. I got another vote for 55. Is that last group 5?
Oh, no. Hold on.
Oh, I miscounted.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's 4.
It's 4. There are 54 total not sick people that we can count here. If, I've lost my pointer. If 4 of them had the casserole, how many of the 54 people did not have the casserole? 50. And it is purely a coincidence that that adds up to 54. If 10 of the 50 people had the water and ice, how many didn't? What's 54 minus 10? 44. So somebody want to give me the attack rates for the ones that need attack rates up there? 22 out of 66 was easy to do.
For water and ice.
And how about the casserole?
7.4.
So if we're rounding off,
7.
now you will eventually fill the rest of the numbers in, but I figure we'll just take the ones with the high attack rates on the take the food side compared to the what happens if you don't take the food. And we only have one situation that really, really drops off from one side to the other. We got 87 over here and 7 over here. It's like a 12 times difference if you pass the casserole up versus taking the casserole. Here, it drops off a little, but nowhere near that much. So do we have a candidate for what got people sick?
I think it was the egg noodle.
I think it was the egg noodle casserole too. And if you flip past the surveys to the last page of questions, what food item or items are associated with the illness? Looks like the egg noodle casserole. Now here's something to keep in mind. You name the casserole for what's in it. Usually the meat. It's not a tuna casserole, right? It's not a turkey casserole, not a chicken casserole. This is an egg noodle casserole, which means it doesn't got meat in it. It's got noodles and sauce and veggies, and that's pretty much it. You know, it's a cafeteria. They use leftovers. So now look at the pages that follow the last page of questions. Remember I told you there's a whole bunch of diseases that have these symptoms? These are the lists. So take a look at the first one. This first one's mushroom poisoning. Could there be mushrooms in the casserole?
Yes.
Yeah, They definitely could. Take a look across the line and tell me whether there's a reason to think it's not mushroom poisoning.
The incubation.
The incubation period's too quick. This is what you're gonna do, process of elimination. If you start with the incubation period and cross off the stuff that doesn't fit, you'll get rid of better than half of them right off the bat. If you then go to the ones that are left and go down the column for foods, most of the foods are not something that would wind up in a cafeteria casserole. So you'll eliminate that. You won't have very many left at that point. Usually the easiest third column to go down is the symptoms. And eliminate stuff where the symptoms don't quite fit our group. Now here's where people don't read far enough, because one of the most common wrong answers I get, they don't get down to the mortality rate, which says about 8 of our people should be dead. Nobody died. So don't pick the thing that's got a mortality rate. But you're gonna do that on your own and tell me, once you've got that, go back to the questions. Now, question 3 turns out to be very tricky, and I'll take a couple of answers, even one that makes no sense whatsoever. Once we know what the disease is, we've got a few possibilities for how the casserole got messed up. And that's your question, what in the casserole got messed up and what did they do wrong? It turns out that that's a tricky thing to really come up with. But we can answer the next 2 questions. Let me put this back up. Okay, somebody explain these folks. They ate the casserole, but they're not sick. How'd that happen?
Not everyone gets sick. Not everyone gets sick.
Yeah, but why not?
Smaller quantity of what
Okay.
makes them sick.
A lot of times it can be what they call dose-related illnesses, where if they didn't take that much, they didn't
Maybe
get
they took
exposed
out-
enough.
Maybe they like didn't like mushrooms, so that was the cause.
It
and
might
they
have
took
been
it
a
out.
removable ingredient that turns out to be the problem. Any other explanations for the 4 people that didn't get sick, even though they're down as having taken the casserole?
Medication that they're already taking.
Okay, they might have had something that was counteracting the effect.
Mistakes.
Hmm?
Their body are resistance to, their body are resistant to certain.
Yeah, some people are resistant. My mother worked in food service. She used to call them the people with the cast iron stomachs. You could give them anything, nothing ever made them sick. How do we know they took the casserole?
You're relying on their knowledge.
They told us, this is a cafeteria. They probably serve casseroles every 2 weeks. So it could just be that they're wrong. Maybe that particular casserole, they remember eating a casserole, but they're wrong about it being that casserole. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why these people could be here, and it doesn't mean that they're lying to us or anything. So that's the answer to question, what is that, question 4? Okay, for question 5, we gotta explain these 4 people who didn't eat the casserole, but they're sick. How'd that happen?
Could be.
Cross-contamination.
Hmm?
Cross-contamination.
Okay, whatever made everybody sick, they might have picked up some of it on a spoon or, somehow got exposed without actually remembering taking, they also could have eaten it off somebody else's plate. That's a cross-contamination also, yeah.
Maybe they just don't have the illness that we're looking for.
Well, they went to the infirmary.
Doesn't mean that it's not something else.
It could be something else that they're ill with. So that's a possibility. People know what the placebo effect is? Where if I treat you, the act of treating people often will make them feel better. There's a flip side to that they call the reverse placebo effect. Let me give you this situation. 4 people from the same cottage go to lunch and they have the casserole. Those 4 people and a 5th person go to dinner and have the pizza. And now it's midnight. These people didn't get sick until the middle of the night. Those people at lunch, they're retching, they're throwing up, and I'm the 5th person looking at them going, I just ate the same thing you did. You think I'm feeling queasy? You think maybe when you throw up on my shoes, maybe I'm throwing up too? I'm going to the infirmary with you guys, even though I never ate the casserole, the suggestion alone, for especially for this kind of symptom, could have done it. And kind of the point here is, in any kind of outbreak, it would be unusual for these to be zeros. You're always gonna get little bit of numbers on what seems like the wrong box. Okay, this brings us to the last question, and this is the most important question on the lab. Because before we get back into our car and drive to Albany, we have to tell them what not to do. Here's the problem, we're not absolutely sure what they did wrong. So you gotta tell them not to do whatever applies to this particular illness once you figure out what the illness is. Don't do this anymore, don't do that anymore. We don't know if you did it, but don't do it. So you're gonna give them a list of things to fix. And it's important that they fix it because you don't wanna be coming back when they have another outbreak. So, that is the lab, is that you got a bunch of stuff to do. Like any lab, it's not due until the next time you're in lab. But if you wanna sit here and do it, that's fine too. I never leave until the room's empty.
For my group, my lab's technically Thursday, will this still be due next Monday then?
If you wanna get it to me somehow next Monday, probably be easier if you bring it in and give it to me Thursday.
Should this graph?
I mean,
It does
the
say-
thing is, I'm not really, you gotta be way late before I'm applying any kind of lateness on anything, so as long as you can get it to me,
Okay.
I'm taking stuff pretty much, you know. If it's like, if I've actually gone in and zeroed out the people that are, that, you know, cause it's so late that they missed the due date by a couple of weeks, then sometimes I apply a little bit of a late fee on things, but for the most part, I'm taking it, anything anybody has sent it. Yeah.
Should this graph take up the whole page? Probably not, right?
It's up to you. It's how much of the page the graph takes up, whether you want the boxes to be 2 by 2s or 1 by 1 or 3 by 3, I think you'll use more than the whole page. Keep in mind that because you've broken the timeline up, you're never gonna get a pile that's 31 high. For most of the timelines, you won't get more than 13 or 14 on the highest pile you get. Any other questions?